I'm Ian Baker, and it's time to meet your new Mallard travel trailer. I'm going to go over a couple different basics, just show you some operation, so that way you can get out and start camping. I'm going to start off right up front. All of your Mallards will come with a power tongue jack. Most of them will be your LCI or Lippert branded jack. Super simple and easy to use. You will have two controls. This will run off 12 volt, by the way, which will be battery. But your one control here will say retract and extend. Some tongue jacks will say up and down, just 'cause it's a little bit easier language. But just so you know, if you hit extend, what that will actually do is extend your jack. So that means that your tongue is going to come up. If you want your tongue to go down, you are then going to retract, which will lower the tongue down. Right next to that is a switch for your light, simple on off. You'll see the light is right down here. Just gives you a little extra visibility at night. And in the rare event it does fail, there is a manual override here. We have another video going a little more in depth in case you need to check that out. Behind that is your two 20-pound propane tanks on this unit. It does have the cover to access those tanks. You have these thumb screws, and you can pull it back just like that to be able to get in there. Now, it's a little bit hard to show you the operation, but just know that you can access your valves here as well as the switchover if you don't want to take the cover off. For our purposes, and for demonstration, just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to take that off and show you. So, your selector switch will be right up front. You'll see it says supply on here with an arrow. So whatever propane tank that is pointing to, that will be the tank it is drawing off of. So as soon as this one runs out, you're going to want to flip it over to the other side. And again, once it is pointing to that tank, also make sure you open the tank up so that way you can start to get the propane flowing. Behind that will be where your battery is located. Now we're using a battery box to power this one, but normally that will be your battery. And you will see this one also comes with a battery disconnect. Now, most Mallards do. I believe there is a floor plan or two that do not, but the battery disconnect is great. You will flip that to the red, just like this. That will kill all 12 volt power. You'll see that my lights on the front cap went out. My tongue jack no longer works. My power stabilizers won't work because all those run off your battery power. You'll want to use that if you're storing it. But when you want to use it, flip it back to the green, and now it reconnects that circuit and we have power again. This one does have solar prep. If you're looking for solar, just to show you where that is, it'll be in a different location, again, depending on the model, but it is Furion solar prep, and that's what it looks like, and it's essentially a plug-and-play operation. The LED lights on the cap are controlled by a switch. It's actually on the other side, but I'll show you in here. It'll be in your pass-through storage. This one does have a slam latch, magnetic catch as well. But if we take a look in the pass-through, you'll see on the far side, I should have turned that light on, but over there's a switch, and that will actually control your cap lights. You'll also see some extra tools here, some hand tools. So again, if you need to use manual stabilizers or anything like that, if the motors fail, that will be where your tools are for manual operation. Speaking of stabilizer jacks, our controls for those are actually on the off-camp side on the Mallard line. And again, I'll show you those in just a moment. You use there's a number of different awnings. You know, it can be Edge, it can be Solera. There's a couple other ones that I think they put on there. But all of them, again, are 12 volt. Touch a button to roll them out. Same thing to go back in. I'll show you that control inside. They'll have LED light strips on there as well. Moving back a little bit further, somewhere on your Mallard, you will have fresh tank fill on every unit. So if you're going somewhere you don't have city water, you want to make sure to fill up the fresh tank, and that'll be the place you do it. Most of them will be using your Dometic furnace. Furnaces are pretty easy these days, folks. You'll have a thermostat inside, and again, depending on the unit, it might be a GE, it might be a Dometic, and it can be a digital or it may be a mechanical. And I'll kind of show you those a little bit as we talk about AC units. But basically, you turn it on, the furnace kicks on. As long as you have propane flowing, you're good to go. You'll have two different types of step systems on the Mallard line. One of them will be what we have right here, which is the MORryde step above step system. Works great. To put it away, as you can see it's currently deployed, it just folds right up. Now, it is wet. This is one note with these steps. I recommend wiping them down with the towel before you put them away. Otherwise, you're gonna get a bunch of water and stuff in the camper. But you put them away just like that, super easy. To deploy them, there's a handle right here, as well as this little lever. You pull that, that will allow it to drop down. And then you will have adjustment for the legs right here, so that way you're able to adjust that to whatever length that you want. Depending on the model, you may have a second set of steps, which is your standard pull-out steps. Those ones you just fold up nice and easy, grab the handle, pull them right back out, just like travel trailers have had yeah, for a long, long time now. Making our way back a little bit further, we get into the water heater. This is a Dometic water heater. This one does run off both propane and electric. Now, when I say electric, that means 120 volts. It's not gonna run off your 12-volt battery. If you do not have shore power, do not have a generator, you will have to run your water heater off propane. I've seen that mistake before, where people try to turn on just the electric element and nothing happens. If you want to run it off electric, you're going to need that 120. Otherwise, propane is the way to go. Coming around to the back, square tubular bumper with the end caps. You can pop these off if you want, so you can slide your sewer hose in there. Several models will also come with an outside shower. It's pretty simple to use, folks. You're just going to pull it out. It does have hot and cold water access there. You will also have a city water inlet somewhere, so if you have city water at your campsite, that's the one you'll generally want to use. And then most models will also have a black tank flush to wash out the black tank. With that one, you just take a hose, screw it right up there. One thing you will want to make sure you do is open up the black tank valve. If you don't, you can actually flood your black tank and cause damage. So you want to make sure you do that. Again, we have more in-depth videos showing how that process is done. Coming around the corner, you'll either have a 30 amp or 50 amp detachable power cord depending on the RV. This one right here is a 30. And as I talked about your terminations, you'll always want to check. You may have one, you may have two. This particular unit has two. You'll see you have one termination here with your handles. But if you can take a look way up front, hey, you probably can't see it, but there's another one right up there. Last thing I want to touch on are your power stabilizer jacks. This one does have the Lippert PSX1 stabilizers. And so you have a button here to extend and retract. We'll see the same thing when we come right up front. I'll show you. So that rear one will operate the rear two. The front one right here will operate the front two. With the PSX ones, all you have to do is touch the button, extend. You will hold it. You can see it's coming down. And what you'll notice is one leg is coming down, the other is not. That is not uncommon. What you'll notice as soon as this one touches down, then the other leg will start to drop down. So give it a second here, and there's that. And here comes our other leg. Sometimes they drop down together, sometimes they don't. Either way, it's going to be fine. What you do want to listen for is when both pads hit the ground, you'll hear the motor start to struggle just a little bit, and that's when you want to stop. Right there. So now we stop. And remember, folks, those are not going to be levelers. You don't want to keep going. You don't want to try to level your camper out with them because you will break them. They are pure stabilizers, so that way as you're walking around inside, the RV doesn't rock around as much. Speaking of inside, let's go take a look at some of the basic operations in there. When you step inside your new Mallard, one of the first things you probably try to find is the control panel, and on every floor plan, it will be in a slightly different place. If we take a look at what we have here, you'll see things are a little bit spread out. Some of them will be quite obvious, like this one is nice enough to say slide room, and it'll be a cable-driven slide. It is quite simple and easy to use. You just touch and hold the rocker switch, and just like that, your cable slide will move in and out. We'll do the same thing to move that all the way out. Just want to kind of let you hear it when it goes all the way out. You'll see it stops just like that. Nice and simple. You'll also see another one. This one's not going to be quite as nicely labeled, but this will say extend and retract. That will be your power awning. And then you will have a couple switches that you may not know that you'll have to play with to figure out what they are. For example, this one you will see is the main lights. If you do have any questions on what these switches are, you just can't figure it out, please feel free to either call or stop in at the Camping World location that you got your Mallard at. We'll be happy to walk through and show you what all of those are. But again, they'll be a little bit different from model to model. If we take a look in the bathroom here, step on in, you will see the tank monitoring panel, and it will usually be located in the bathroom of your Mallard. It may be in a different spot, again, depending on the floor plan, but they try to put them in the bathroom. It is a positron unit for pretty much every Mallard I have seen. As far as your tanks, you'll see your battery monitor is on there, as well as all your tanks. You will see gray and galley. Do note that your RV may not have a galley tank, so it will always read empty. That will be if you have a second gray tank for the kitchen, but again, that'll depend on the model itself. We'll also notice your water pump is on here. That will be used if you're running off of your freshwater tank. If you don't have city water, you need to pull that water into the RV somehow, so you will turn on that water pump. It will draw it out of the fresh tank to whatever faucet you need it to, and you will hear it charge up when you first turn it on, and then it'll stop. And then once you have some water come out, then your water pump, assuming that you leave it on, because you can leave it on, will fire back up. So that's kind of how the water pump works. Just know that, you know, if you start to run out of fresh water, you will want to turn that water pump off so you're not just having it run and burning it up. You'll also see your water heater on here. You will have both propane and electric, again, on pretty much every Mallard. You can run this off either or both of them at the same time for faster recovery. Just remember, again, to run it off electric, you do have to have that 120 volt. Your toilet will be a foot flush lever, super simple and easy to use. You will just push it down partly to fill the bowl with water. There will generally be some in there, but if you need to add more, you're just going to push it down a little bit. Then to flush the toilet, you will push it down all the way. You'll see the ball opens up, water will come out and swirl and force the water down. That's how pretty much every foot flush lever toilet works. I believe most Mallards use the Thetford brand, but it can vary, again, depending on model year. Shower is pretty simple and easy to use. The shower door, the way this works, you'll see this comes here and just clips into place. All you have to do is either push in, or if you're on the inside, you'll pull. You'll see that just lets this basically come up over the lip of the shower, and that does retract. This does not need to be fully dry. In fact, you don't need to dry it at all. You just roll it right back up. It is completely mold resistant, and you'll be good to go. You'll also see the faucet's pretty simple to use. It is a hand wand you can take off. Both your hot and cold knobs are right there. Pretty self-explanatory on that one. Making our way back out, let's talk a little bit about the entertainment center. You can have several different models. You can have one like this, which I believe is the iDrive. This one's a touchscreen. A pretty nice unit. You can have the IRV 36. Let's see what else. They put a Magnadyne 3000 in there. All of them work very similarly. The big thing that I like that Mallard does is the fact they put in an HDMI cable for use. This is already plugged into the back. What's super handy about this is you can just plug this into the TV, and then somewhere on the front you should have an HDMI port. So if you have some auxiliary equipment like a Blu-ray player, gaming system, you can plug it into the front, plug that into the TV, you're good to go. And again, that's pretty much on all the multimedia centers that Mallard uses. You also see a fireplace in several models. It is the Greystone model, Greystone brand. Very simple to use. You have a power button. I don't have 120 hooked up, so unfortunately I can't show you, but just know that the controls for it are right in here in case you're curious. The refrigerator is Dometic, 8 cubic foot. This one is your propane and electric. When I say electric, again, we're talking about 120 volt, not 12 volt. So it will not run off your battery. It's either going to be propane or it'll be shore power or your generator. To use it, you have an on-off switch right here. You also have auto switchover. So if you have it pushed in, it will use 120 if you have 120 available. If not, it'll fire up propane. If you just want to use propane, you can keep that switch out and it will just run off gas. You'll have a Greystone 3-burner cooktop, super quick and easy to use. This just folds up and back just like so. You'll see, again, the 3 burners. The front one here is high output. It shows you exactly what they are. Cool thing about the Greystone is you have a spark igniter right here that will operate the top 2 burners as well as the igniter in the oven, so you don't have to get a match or anything, put it in there. You also have a light to light up the knobs that also doubles as an oven light. There is one particular floor plan that they may be coming out with more that will use a 2-burner. I believe it's the Flame King they use in it. That will have individual knobs, but each one of those knobs will still have a sparker on it. And again, that's just a 2-burner cooktop. There is not an oven in that unit. Let's talk about the AC real quick. We can have a couple different AC units. This is the thermostat. Now this particular one, because we have a ducted system, this Dometic one will run both your AC as well as the furnace. And again, this one is pretty simple and easy to use, but you'll have the mode. So there we go. You can just run through, right? So this will be cool. You push it again, it'll go to furnace, off, and then you can have your fan high or low. So you can adjust it right here, or you can adjust the temps, again, based upon what setting you want. Now, there can be some different units. It might not necessarily be Dometic. It could be GE, or you might have a mechanical thermostat that just runs the furnace because your AC controls will be up on the AC itself. So again, it just depends on the way your unit is equipped. For furniture, all of it is pretty easy. For the table, a couple quick things I want to show you. The legs do fold up, but they were also generally attached at the wall. So you have to lift it up out of the wall, fold the legs up, drop it down. They'll sit right on top of here. Then you can put the cushions on top. And then a tri-fold sofa, again, is fairly easy to operate, or a jackknife, again, depending on what model, in order to make that up. All right, folks, and that wraps up the basics. Now, I know I went through things kind of quick, but hopefully it is enough to be able to get you started, get out there, and having a good time. If you are looking for some more in-depth information, like maybe how to set up this tri-fold into a bed, or You're looking for some troubleshooting tips, like you can't get hot water. Well, we have put together a very large library of videos for you to help make camping fun and easy.